paradise. A promise of truth which they had been promised. They were reprieved until when the messengers gave up hope and thought that they were denied by their people. Then came to them our help. Truly Allah is with the patient ones. Only those who are patient shall receive their rewards in full, without reckoning. Sometimes Allah brings success and relief when hope is lost and all seems dark. This is in order to encourage us to turn our hopes to Him, to trust completely in Him, and to never lose hope of His help at any time. Also, when afflicted, one should be satisfied with the knowledge that he was afflicted with something minor and was saved from what could have been worse. Isaac said, perhaps Allah tests the slave with a calamity but then saves him from destruction. Thus the calamity is really a great blessing in disguise. It has been said that whoever forbears a hardship and is content with Allah's decree by being patient, and then some hidden benefit or blessing will come about for him through that experience. It has been related from some Christians that one of their prophets said, calamities are a disciplining from Allah. Disciplining is not something that is continuous. So glad tidings to whoever is patient when disciplined. Such a person should be crowned with the crown that symbolizes both overcoming and victory. The victory that Allah promised to the ones who love Him and obey Him. Isaac also said, beware of complaining if you are caught in the sharp claws of a hardship, for the way to safety is a difficult path to tread. The importance of a positive attitude. A writer justly said, though the hope encourages and steers one towards patience, hope arises from having a good opinion of Allah. Hope in Allah precludes the possibility of failure, but why should we be so confident that hope in Allah precludes the possibility of failure? If we were to study the characteristics of generous people, we would find that they take special care of those who think well enough of them to turn to them for help. They will also tend to eschew those who think ill of them. That what is important here is that they refrain from hurting the hopes of those who single them out for help. Then what will be the case regarding the most generous one, whose kingdom is not decreased in the least, when he gives even more than what the hopeful ones expected from him in the first place? A person who finds no way out of a difficult situation illustrates the most poignant example of Allah's generosity and guidance. For one of his slaves, after losing all hope in everyone that he turned to for help, he is forced to remember that there is one door that remains open, and that he should hope in no one save in Allah the Exalted. At that point he feels the chastisement for not having hoped from Allah in the first place, and at that point aid and relief arrive. Verily, those whom you call upon besides Allah are slaves like you. So call upon them and let them answer you if you are truthful. A few words of patience. It is related to have said, relief and aid are from faith and contentment. Anxiety and grief are from doubt and anger. He also used to say, the patient one achieves the best of our aims. I heard a desert Arab say, one of the noblest of characteristics becomes manifest when one is afflicted by a trial and then uses patience to overcome that trial. patience and hope affect him positively, it is as if he constantly visualizes himself being saved from his problem. His state of mind is positive to such a high degree because of his trust in Allah and his good opinion of him. Whenever one possesses these characteristics, he will never have to wait long for Allah to fulfill his needs and remove hardship from his life. He will be saved, and his religion and honor will remain safe. Fear evil when you find yourself to be in a good situation. Hope for good when you are in an evil situation. Many have lived who have sought after death, and many have died who have sought after life. And safety comes most often for a person after he has followed the path of fear. Some of the wise would say the wise person would have, when afflicted by hardship, consoles himself in two ways. The first is to be contented. The second is in hoping for a way out of the difficulties that have befallen him. The ignorant person is shaken and nervous in situations of hardship in two ways. The first is in the number of people from whom he seeks aid. The second is in his constant fears and apprehensions about that which is worse than what has already befallen him. And as I mentioned earlier, it has been said that Allah the Exalted disciplines as through trials a form of education that opens hearts, ears and eyes. Describes trials as being a wake-up call for the forgetful ones, a means of achieving reward for the patient ones, and a reminder of blessings for everyone. And the decree of Allah is always better, especially for those who through their bravery appear to be seeking out death, who are searching for a life of remembrance, and who are unlike those that are described in the following verse. They are the ones who said about their killed brethren, while they themselves sat at home, if only they had listened to us, they would not have been killed. Say, avert death from your own selves if you speak the truth. Pause to reflect. If you are suffering hardships, then surely they too are suffering hardships as you are suffering. But you have a hope from Allah for the reward paradise, that for which they hope not. For the reason mentioned in this verse, the true believer has a high level of tolerance. When he is afflicted with calamity, patient steadfastness, serenity, and a sincere desire to fulfill one's duty as a slave of Allah. These are qualities that you can find in a true believer. Related that the Prophet said, Your Lord, most blessed and most high, says, O son of Adam, dedicate your time to my worship, and I will fill your heart with wealth and your hands with sustenance. O son of Adam, don't distance yourself from me, or I will fill your heart with poverty and your hands with problems that will preoccupy you. Don't grieve if you are poor, for your true value is not determined by your bank balance. The true value of every person is weighed according to the good that he does. Therefore, the value of a scholar is based on his knowledge, on whether it is limited or vast, and on the degree to which he disseminates his knowledge. Similarly, the poet is appraised based on the quality of his poems, and so it goes for every person of every occupation. His worth with people is measured by his excellence in what he does, in terms not of occupation but of religion and life in general. Everyone should strive to increase their value and worth by performing good deeds, by increasing their knowledge and level of wisdom, by cultivating and polishing their mind, and by developing noble traits in their personality. A word on reading. Reading opens the mind, guides one to correct morals, and sharpens one's abilities to think. Reading is a comfort for the lonely, a stimulant for the thinker, and a lamp for the traveller. To not read makes one limited in one's speech, thinking, and personality. Most books contain at least some benefit, whether it is in wise sayings, interesting stories, strange experiences, or new knowledge. It can even be said that the benefits of reading are beyond